Now, the next thing is I need to run this generator. Rails generate devise : install. So if you remember, we did Rails generate before when we were creating our homepage. So this is Rails generate devise. And so this actually, there's many kinds of Rails generate commands. This one thing that you should sort of realize from this. And this is one that specifically Devise now exists because we've installed it. And so this is actually going to be a set of commands for setting up Devise inside of our application. Make sure you copy and paste it in exactly right. The specificity of what we do over the next few commands is very important. It is possible to undo, so if you made a mistake, don't freak out too much. But as much as you can, make sure you've copied it exactly in. And I'll mention areas where it really, really matters. So this will, basically, it's going to add a few things into our application, and it's going to give us a few instructions as well. Two things that it added. It added in 2 files into our initializers. The initializers is a section under config initializers where there's a bunch of Ruby files in here. And these Ruby files are basically run when your application first runs. So the first time, that's why they're called initializers. And they do some setup for you. Your app comes with a bunch of them, such as, I don't know, the key that you use inside of your sessions. You don't really need to know what that means, but you could change it if you want to. All sorts of stuff, but specifically we added Devise added one. And this is where you can go in and change a bunch of the Devise settings if you ever needed to go in and change them. And then you restart your app and it'll reload the settings. So if you wanted to change settings for stuff, this ends up being one of the main places that you go to. There's, all sorts of other ones as well. But we'll leave that be for now. Just wanted to show you that those were created. Now it also tells you a few other things that you should do if you haven't yet. The first is defining a default URL in your environment files. We will go ahead and do that, but this is mostly important for sending emails, which we're not going to be doing. But what it's saying is in your config/environments/development.rb file, add this line. So I can actually just copy this line and add that into here. Let me first search to see if ActionMail or default URL options exists. Nope, I don't see it in here. So I'll just add it to the bottom on line 55. Paste that in. Now I believe that should be good. This will set it on development. If you want to use this on production, and this is specifically the mailer, you'd actually have to go into your production file and set that and then override this with the URL of your Heroku application, which we're not going to do, but I did want to show this to you because it is one of the steps that it says you should follow here in development. The second step is setting the root URL to something in config/routes. If we open up our routes file here, you see we already have that set, so we're good. The next is setting up Flash messages in your application layouts.html.erb. What Flash messages are these little messages that will show up when a user does something such as log in or gets an error message or something like that. So we don't have those yet, but we can create a new thing here. I'll actually create a new comment. You can create a comment with command and then the slash, which is the question mark right here. And it looks like that. This is an HTML comment. Or you can just go to edit, comment, toggle comment. And I'm doing this just so that I can label that what we are going to put in below is the Flash messages. And so the way that Flash messages should look is a little different. We're going to do something slightly different from what they give us here. But it's going to look like this. And you can copy along with this, or you can just copy from the text that I put you below. Flash.each do name, comma, message. Then these are called pipes, and these pipes are above the return on your keyboard. Now we're getting a little into Ruby code, which you're not going to be so familiar with right now, but that's okay. If you want to learn more about Ruby and how it works, definitely check out the 1-month Ruby course. Inside of here, we'll do this with an equal sign, content tag, in parentheses, div, comma, message, comma, class, colon, alert, alert info. And I'll do this little add hashtag, colon, name. And then we'll need to end that with this percentage close thing. So and then one more thing here at the end before I explain to you what we did here. So, and then save that. What this is basically doing is for every Flash message that is being set, it will put a new content tag and then paste in the message surrounded by a HTML div with the classes of here. So this is just going to have the class alert, alert info. It's also going to put in the name of the Flash message as a class. We haven't seen Flash messages yet, so the next time one actually pops up, I'll show you what ends up being created. And we don't need that extra line. So just make sure that you have the same thing below, and I'll show you how it's relevant when it's actually running. And we'll copy the Devise views for customization later, but for now, well, actually, let's do that right now. Why not? And then I'll show you where you can actually edit that later. Paste that in. And there we go. It's actually going to copy a bunch of different views into here, but they'll actually normally exist by default. This just allows us to edit them. So we've done all the things we need to get Devise set up in our app. In the next video, I'm going to show you how you can now create users, because that's an additional step. And then we'll show you how we actually get it into our database and what it looks like.